Welcome. We are about to talk about equipment, especially essential equipment, highlight a few things of what's important, the price differences between some items, the quality difference between them, where to buy, where we suggest buying some of these things, and what we kind of can supply as a school. Alright, so first up, I think we should go through the clothing. That's one of the biggest issues or points that needs to be addressed, and that would be needing to be addressed, especially when we come up to our first camp, which is in week 4. So yeah, let's start with what you would kind of just dress at, so t-shirts and pants. Okay. So we've got a couple different options of shirts that you can wear. So we're looking at different types of materials. So this one is a synthetic one. Yep. So really there's two different options. There's a synthetic material or a natural material, which is wool or merino. Okay. So this one here is another synthetic. It's a really lightweight material. You can see this one has long sleeves. Long sleeve is not something that we insist upon. It's kind of an option, especially if you're more sensitive to sun. It's a good one. And because it's lightweight, even though we can hike in some hot conditions, you don't often get super hot in them. This is another option. It's a slightly heavier material, but again, that's another synthetic option.
A lot of the shirts that you'll find in camping and outdoor stores will actually have vented armpits or vented back ports so that you actually actively cool down while you're walking.
Yeah, this is another type of synthetic. You can see it's quite different. It's a short sleeve, no collar. So again, that's kind of personal preference. Something that's really cool about this particular synthetic is that it's an antimicrobial, which is really important for the really long hikes because it stops the shirt from smelling. So like at Bogong, which is our big camp at the end of the year, I wear this shirt probably at least 4 days, 3 or 4 days, even some wear the whole time, and it actually doesn't smell after I take it off on day 4 or 5, which is just amazing. But that's great. So look for, it used to say here, antimicrobial. So that's one of the benefits of the merino or the wool ones. Okay, these ones are a higher price, so all of the synthetic ones are the cheaper option. One of the bigger benefits with these ones is usually softer, it's a nicer feel, but it is quite a higher price with this one. But all of the wool options are antimicrobial as well, okay, with no odors. Alright, so those are the tops that you're kind of looking for. So we're going for bottoms, so just general wear of logos. So there's a few different options. Again, we're looking for lightweight materials. Bottoms are mostly synthetic, so you've got here a long one. Yeah, and you can see these are zip-off ones, which is a great option for wanting to minimize the amount of clothing we bring. So it's obviously a short and a long pant. And so if your child gets hot, you know they get hot, so they want ventilation, they can zip off the leg, continue, and then when it cools down at night time, they can put the legs back on, and it's a nice option. We know we're going on day walks and stuff, or it's going to be hot weather and you don't necessarily want long pants, you've got shorts as options. Again, it's a really lightweight material. Okay.
You also want things that will dry quickly if you were to get wet in the rain or have to fjord through a creek or a river.
Yes. Yes, I've worn particularly a long pair of pants similar to that material. We were in a snowstorm at Bogong. Doesn't always happen, but has happened once in my career here. I've been here hiking for 6 years, so only once. And yeah, it dried within half an hour of being on the bus. So, and that's in cool conditions. So yeah, lightweight material. Something that we ask you not to give your students is tights. Okay, one of the big reasons why we don't tights hold things in. It's great for short amount of activities, but it holds the moisture in. It keeps the heat in, which is not what we want for hiking. Okay, that can lead to keeping the internal temperature high, especially if we're going on Fridays is a particularly hot one. So please, no tights for your students. Okay. All right. Yep. So another one is socks. Okay, there's a few different options. So mostly we say kind of the wool ones. The wool ones are a little bit,
Particularly the merino ones.
yes,
They're a
there
little bit more
doesn't seem to
expensive.
be a bit of more of a price difference between synthetic and wool ones. This is something that we'll be giving as part of the welcome pack, one pair of wool ones. So you've got quite a thick pair
I've got
there.
a thick pair here.
I have a thinner pair here. They're both wool. Merino ones, it comes down to personal preference. So wool is really good for wicking away moisture and keeping the body cool, particularly the feet, where they often get really hot and sweaty. Merino socks can help with reducing blister causing agents.
As well as odors.
Yes, that's true. Yeah. Anything wool, antimicrobial.
Ideally, you also want to find socks before or while you buy shoes, because hiking boots tend to need to be a little bit wider, because we want to make sure that our feet are comfortable while we are walking.
Definitely. Something you notice we've been talking about synthetic or wool in particular. One of the big ones that we say no, you need to kind of avoid is cotton. Okay, one of the hiking acronyms that we have, or it's known in the hiking community, is that cotton kills. Okay, and the reason for this is that cotton holds on to moisture. So if you're sweating when you're hiking, as we all do, it holds on to that moisture and it keeps the heat in. Okay, which is the opposite of what meant to happen. And the same if it gets to the end of the day, they've sweated throughout the day and it's starting to cool down, it will, and there's a breeze coming through, it will actually hold on to the cold and not help with keeping you warm.
And if you do find yourself getting rained on, it will not dry as quickly as a synthetic or a wool blend material.
Yeah. So synthetic or wool is great for all of our hiking things. We have mentioned to the kids that cotton can be used for like sleepwear. So we recommend hiking in one set of clothes, have a second spare set of hiking clothes, and then have a different set of sleeping clothes. Okay. So one of those sleeping clothes options, though, particularly in cold weather, is what we call the base layer, which is the thermals. So you don't need thermals straight up. Thermals we say is a non-negotiable, so it's a must-have item when we go to Bogong. So you need a pair of long pants and a pair of long sleeve top. Okay. So the role of thermals is to keep the heat in, right? And we wear it underneath the rest of the clothes, or on their own if they're sleeping in it. Okay. So up on Bogong, it's getting cold, really cold. I would go get changed into my thermals, put my normal hiking clothes back on, and then layer up with a jumper and a jacket if it's that cold. So there's again two different types of thermals. Was yours a merino one?
Mine was merino.
Merino, and there's also synthetic. Again, it's that price point difference. Merino is slightly more comfortable. It still has the antimicrobial properties. I would highly recommend you wait for some sales. I got a really nice pair of merino thermals, half price. Okay, so generally just after winter, they come down on sale. So that's something you can wait for, because we don't really need them to Bogong.
Which is in term 4.
And yeah, November. Okay. All right, so then the next layer up, we talk about layers a lot when hiking and clothing. Okay, so we've gone through our normal base layer of, normal day, we've gone through our layer of thermals if it gets cooler, and then if it's just, we come back, it's starting to cool down for the evening, but not too cold, we chuck a jumper on, or we call it a fleece layer. Okay, so a fleece layer, as the name kind of suggests, it's something soft and fleecy. It doesn't have to be a hard shell. Again, we'd like it to be synthetic, so no cotton blends. Okay, there's lots of these different options available at different price points. So I believe that's a Mountain Designs one.
It's actually
Kathmandu. Okay, and then yeah, there's some options available. And then what our outer shell, okay, is the rain jacket. Okay, so these are the ones that we have here at school for hire. So the purpose of the jacket is to obviously be waterproof, okay, if it rains. But another good purpose is that if there's it's a bit windy, and so that the wind is cutting through the clothes, put this on and it cuts the wind, so it's a windbreaker. Okay, so a couple of things to note with the jacket is that you need it nice and long, so coming down to roughly about your fingertips is a great indicator of how long you want it to be. Part of the reason why is because if it's raining and we're out in the bush, obviously everything's wet. If we want to sit down for lunch, we can sit down on the jacket because it's long enough and will stay dry. Okay.
As Ms. Jacket mentioned, we do offer these at school, but if you do go out purchasing your own jacket, that is also an option available to you. There are just a few requirements that we need for a rain jacket if you do decide to buy your own. They need to be double taped from the inside as well.
Yeah, it's called seam sealing, okay, so you can kind of see it there. So that's where the seam and the two pieces of material come together. That's the weakest point of the jacket with the waterproofness. A lot of new jackets have it, but they are a pretty pricey item. A good seam sealed jacket can run $300 upwards. Hence why we have an option to hire them at school, okay? So these are the One Planet ones, these are the ones available. You can hire them for the whole year for $50, or you can hire them per camp, so $20 per camp, depending on your personal preference for that. If you wish to do that, please send cash along with your student and send them to the Year 9 office. We'll write up a receipt, give it back to them so they can give back to you to know that we've received the money, and then we will give out a jacket at the first camp or just before.
And we'll handle all the maintenance of cleaning and care after we get it returned back to us at the end of the year.
Yeah. So every year that they are sanitized and re-waterproofed, we send them back to the manufacturer, and they do that for us, and then we have them back and they're nice and waterproofed again. Okay. So they're your 4 layers that you need. So you need a thermal base layer, normal layer, a fleece layer, and an outerproof jacket. Okay. Thermals, remember, we don't need them until very long. Okay. All right, let's finish the clothes. So we talked a little bit about the shoes. Okay, so there's 2 different options of shoes that you can get. So we have this kind of version, which is a more synthetic, it's a lighter shoe. However, waterproofing can be an issue, although technology is kind of awesome, it's improving. So these ones are Gore-Tex, there's a little label there that says they're Gore-Tex, which if you know, they're quite waterproof material. The other option is that one, which is a leather. Okay, they're a little bit heavier usually. However, on the upside of it is it's quite a sturdy boot, and it's also going to be waterproof pretty much the life of the boot. So yeah, they're the 2 options. Leather is generally more expensive than a synthetic, although the synthetics, there's lots of different price points of these ones. What we recommend that you look for though is having a look on the sole, and you can see there's a red one on this shoe and there's a yellow one on that one. Okay, so that's, I think it's Vibram and
Contigrip.
Contigrip, there you go. So what that means is it's talking about the sole. They're really good soles. Okay, so one of the things when hiking is uneven terrain, having this kind of sole means that the shoe doesn't actually move that much in this way, which is really good for ankle support and feet, because your feet are really important when you're hiking. We want to look after them, so a good shoe is a must, right? But again, there's lots of different price points that you can go for with these ones. We highly recommend the One Planet ones, which is a brand that we partnership. We don't receive any kickbacks with them, but we use pretty much their equipment for our packs, jackets, tents, all that kind of stuff. So your student will receive one of these. This is the camp list, so One Planet goes through camp list, and on the back it has how to access their stuff, and on the inside it has some images of everything that they can provide. So a lot of the stuff we've talked through already, you can buy them from One Planet. You can pretty much equip everything from One Planet if you wish. One-stop shop, but you don't have to. You can shop elsewhere if you want to. But they are really good. They're local. Their factories in Sunshine. They're very high quality for a very reasonable price. Their synthetic shoe goes for about $180, which is very reasonable.
Yeah.
These ones that I bought, I went for a little bit more pricey ones because I'm part of the Year 9 program. These ones ran me about $300, and that's a mid-range shoe. So the One Planet ones are very reasonable. One last thing with shoes is that you want to make sure it has some good grip. Okay, so these ones have very good grip. We look at the leather one, that's a bit of an older shoe. The grip is actually going on it. So I don't know if you can see the texture definition, kind of like tires. So grip is really important, especially when you have a heavy weight, it's the hiking bag on it. It's helpful balance and stuff when you're walking over uneven terrain. All right, I think the last thing we need to go through is sleeping bags. Okay, so again, there's a couple of different options for sleeping bags. So there is a synthetic one and a down one. Okay, so again, different price points. The synthetic is going to be a lot cheaper than down. The down tends to be a little bit warmer. And it compresses a lot more. So you can see the one that I have here, it's actually really compressed compared to what the size of that one was. So a couple of things noting with sleeping bags. For Bogon, we require a -5 comfort sleeping bag, okay? That means that if it gets down to -5, whoever's sleeping in the sleeping bag is going to be comfortable at that temperature. They're going to have a decent night's sleep. Often with sleeping bags, a -5 rating will mean an extreme or a survival rating. That means that, yes, they will survive a -5 night, but it will not be comfortable. They probably won't sleep. And sleep is really important to rejuvenate for the next day when hiking. So the down ones are more compressed. So you can see pulling it out here, it takes a little bit of time for it to blow back up, and that's what happens. The care requirements of a down one is a little bit different from a synthetic as well, just because it's more of a natural thing. But yes, if you are unsure of what the rating is on a sleeping bag, you can't quite work it out, to be handy with technology, you can go in and type in the name of the sleeping bag and the brand of it, and then go and find the specifications and look under there. So we want a -5 comfort sleeping bag. If you're unsure though, come and talk to us, send us any of the United staff a message, and we can help you out with that. But yes, the -5 comfort one doesn't need to occur until Bogon. If you have another sleeping bag that's maybe a little bit lighter, that's fine to send for our first couple of camps, because it's usually a lot warmer there.
A few other things that you may want to consider are you definitely need a hat. For the colder camps, you may need some gloves. They definitely help save my fingers, particularly waterproof ones when we are grabbing water out of freezing cold rivers. That does help a lot as well. Yeah. We also ask that you guys bring head torches or headlamps as opposed to carrying a handheld torch, because keeping your hands free while you're trying to cook and set up a tent at night will make your life a lot easier.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and beanie also for those cold camps is good. Okay, so we went through a few of the different price points and whatnot. As the school supplies the hiking bag, okay, the tent, the cooker, the fuel for the cooker, and I think that's it. And then we have the jackets as options for hiring. So $50 for year or $20 per camp. Okay, where to buy? Now that's a great question. We recommend obviously One Planet, as we've said. Anaconda is another great place. It has some really different price points, so you can really look at the different quality. DFOs, so going to any of the DFOs and Kathmandu, Macpac, and there's some adventure stores at the DFOs. We'd recommend them. We would not recommend to go to Kathmandu in a normal shopping centre unless they have a really big sale on.
They're typically overpriced for what you can get elsewhere.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Like that merino top here that I was showing before, it's normally around priced at about $110. I got it on sale for about $70, so you can see that's a really big saving. Okay. So you just need to shop around, look for the sales. There's also some camping stores in the city if you'd like to go into there. They're all in the row.
One strip.
In one little strip. Little Bogon is the main one there. Yeah, if you find that store, you'll find the strip of the rest of them.